Rain of Troy hotline.
Alicia, Michael, what's going on?
We know you have takes. We have takes.
I'm actually surprised that your rant line, rave line, whatever, isn't completely full.
Why can't we just win a game?
Can I blame Michael Castillo for this?
Can I blame Bob Connolly for this?
Could I put on a zebra shirt and just go out there?
Scratch, claw, up against the wall.
Can't explain what I'm feeling right now, guys.
I can't believe it.
Let's open up that rave line! Woohoo! Oh, I can't believe USC is 7-5 again. Oh no!
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Rant Line Radio. This is the Carcast of USC's 38-21 win over the Wisconsin Badgers at the Coliseum. The Trojans undefeated. They've never lost a Big Ten game at home. We're going to talk about it on this episode. As always, you can follow us on Twitter at Rant of Troy, like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Rant of Troy, email address rantoftroy@fansided.com, and our phone number, 818-643-7227, Second Woodsboro Show. I want to hear your rants. I want to hear your raves, all of it, in the rant line. So give us a call there, 818-643-7227. There we go. I'm your host, Mike Castillo, along with my co-host here in the Rancher Studio in Los Angeles, Alicia Dertol.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. What a wild one, huh?
As I said on Twitter, that was a roller coaster of emotions.
Just a little bit.
I was feeling feelings. I was feeling things. They weren't always good, but they weren't always bad. It was a time. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
If you'd rather be a first half team or a second half team, you'd choose second half team, wouldn't you?
Definitely rather choose a second half team. And I think what we've seen from this team so far this season against LSU, against Michigan, and now against Wisconsin is that this team is a second half team.
Yeah.
And I think that you're going to say some things about the reaction of USC fans to this game.
Yeah, but not after your opening montage.
Yeah, my opening monologue is this, that I think that USC fans, myself included, are deeply scarred from years of not being able to trust their football team for a variety of reasons, whether it was during the Clay Helton era or during the Lincoln Riley, Alex Grinch era. And so when things go bad, I think that USC fans expect things to keep going bad and to not get better, because we've seen many, many USC teams not be able to turn it around. And it might take some time before people are totally comfortable with what I am now going to term, until proven otherwise, this second half team. It's funny because I grew up and fell in love with football during the Pete Carroll era.
Yeah.
And the Pete Carroll era was literally this game, carbon copy.
Oh, yeah.
Every single week. Every single week. The first half, worst football you've ever seen, fall behind against an inferior opponent. And then in the second half, just the switch flicked on and everything went USC's way. And unlike the Michigan game where there was one play that more or less went against the Trojans and that pretty much did it, this time, the bounces all went USC's way. The turnovers all went USC's way, and they put their foot on the gas and ran away with it. But I think that this game, I come out of it. My positives are clearly USC's second half adjustments are working, and they have worked now consistently across a large enough sample size.
Yeah, that all three games against a Power 4 opponent.
Yeah, that it feels like this is what this team is, and it's not just like a mirage or too small of a sample size.
Right.
At the same time, this game is also a repetition of a more negative thing that we've seen from this team, and we are no longer talking about a small sample size. We're talking about a team that, number one, starts very slowly and doesn't seem to come out of the gate firing the way that you want to fire and gets into trouble because of it. And number two, this team has an offensive line that is barely functional. And I think you have to mentally prepare for it to be barely functional for the bulk of Big Ten play as well. And that's what is, I come out of this game feeling mixed. On the one hand, I love the fight from USC. I love the turnaround. I love the ways that this team came together and didn't put their heads down and just mope and let this upset happen. On the other hand, I envision many more games like this because I don't think USC is going to ever have an easy time of it in Big Ten play, because I don't think this offensive line is up to the task.
Yeah.
So again, there was more good than bad in the end. The second half was way more positive than the first half was negative. But I'm quite torn, actually.
Yeah, you'd rather be a second half team than a first half team, especially when all the mistakes in the first half, which we're going to get into, it makes your margin for error in the second half minute, right? And you saw that last week against Michigan. They thoroughly outplayed Michigan in the second half of the football game. Thoroughly outplayed them, but they had a critical pick six, and they gave up a 63-yard run. And those are two plays that did not win in the second half, but those are the plays that lost them the football game because they had made the margin so small by having a bad first half. They weren't able to get points in the first half and really set themselves up for that second half. Today, it's the same thing. SC has a flawless second half. They win the second half 28-0. That's exactly what you want. At the same time, you went down 21-10. And when you go down 21-10, you allow there to be moments where bounces don't go your way, calls don't go your way, and those things hurt because now your time to overcome those is drastically shorter. You can make a mistake in the first quarter and overcome it, but like you can't make them in the second half. And SC has made it to where they almost have to be perfect in the second half. And we saw them nearly beat Michigan, but they beat Wisconsin today. And so on the one hand, you're right. Like, this is literally the Pete Carroll script. Like, if you were too young and you didn't watch the 2005 Trojans, go look up the Wikipedia page and look at the game summaries. Oregon, they were down 13-0, won at 45-13. Arizona State, down 21-3. They won 38-28. Notre Dame, down at the half, 21-14. They win 34-31, right? This was repeated. They were down to Fresno State at the half. This was repeated over and over and over again. You saw a lot of the same things, mistakes, and then the flip would switch, and good teams close, and good teams put together great second halves. And it's tough because, like, there's one side of this where you can look at it and say, well, geez, in the second half, SC has allowed 17 defensive points in 4 games. That's real damn good. They've outscored teams 87-23 in the second half. That's really damn good. They allowed 1 rushing yard to LSU in the fourth quarter, guaranteed a shutout against Utah State in that second half. They shut out Wisconsin after having a really shaky second quarter on defense. They didn't allow a Michigan first down until the last drive of the game, which ultimately won Michigan the game that last drive of the game. All of those things are A pluses for USC's defense, USC's performance in the second half. But again, you're making the margins very slim, and you can't, it's not like you can't keep getting away with this because, like, yeah, if you're just a good second half team, then it's not the end of the world, but you want your slow first halves to see you tied at the half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tied at the half, or you're up by 3 at the. Your slow first half is you leading 13-10, right?
Yes.
Your slow first half shouldn't be losing 21-10. Like you're play with your food at the beginning if you're going to just chew it in the second half. But SC sort of had a lot of issues. Let's talk about those issues in the first half. Sort of a laundry list of mistakes. They dropped the pass on third down that led to a punt on the second drive of the game. Would have been a first down, would have been able to go down and potentially get points. They had to settle for a punt. They muffed a punt on potentially their third drive, which did not happen. That leads to a short field for Wisconsin. They score on a one-play touchdown, as they would say in Madden. Next drive, SC has a false start on 4th and short. So instead of going for it on 4th and short and potentially picking that up and getting the touchdown, maybe you don't know how that goes. Now it's 4th and 6. So you can't go for it on 4th and 6. You got to settle for a field goal. The very next drive, again, they're in Wisconsin territory and they fumbled the football. So put all that together, that's 17 points you leave on the ground, 18 points potentially if you just go off and finish those drives.
Yeah, and you're giving Wisconsin momentum when you don't finish those drives. You're, especially at home, every touchdown that you score is a demoralizing factor for the opposing team, and I think we saw that in the second half. USC got some momentum going, and then Wisconsin, you saw them start to crumble. In my view, I think they started pressing in a way that sometimes we see USC do, and it gets annoying because you rarely come out on top when you do that. But that's the difference. The first half and the second half, the difference is the self-inflicted mistakes, and it's the turnovers when it comes down to it.
Right.
If you have 3 turnovers in one half, chances are you're going to be trailing in that half.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, considering the 3 turnovers, it's a miracle USC wasn't down more at the half. So, I guess you can take that as a positive. You're always going to have one of those games where things just go wrong. And I think the thing that you take from that is that this is a team where things have gone wrong, terribly wrong for them. And they still have a sense of belief, and they still have a sense that they can come back. And they jump on opportunities given to them by the opposing team to push them forward and get them over the hump.
And
you'd like to not have to deal with those mistakes. But then again, again, I think we're just going to be saying this all season. This is the main difference between a USC team that is going to be fighting to maybe get into the playoff and a USC team.
Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me?
And a USC team that we're talking about having a chance to win the playoff. Like, that's the gap that USC needs to close, because I think the way that they're playing right now, if I put aside the offensive line anxiety that I have, I think they can win a lot of games playing this way.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, they can also lose quite a few games left on the schedule if they continue to shoot themselves in the foot the way that they have in the first halves that we've seen them so far.
Yeah. Big shout out to Hokey P.
Hey.
Big super chat. We love Hokey P. Sorry, Hokey P, for the Hokies.
Yeah, that was rough. That was rough on Friday night.
Hokey P says USC matched their physicality, but they couldn't match our athletes' endurance. Fight on. This was something that the broadcast touched on. Nestler and Daniel said about the first half. You look at the first half. I'm going to pull it up now. What's the number of plays? SC played them, as weird as that is to say. 42 plays to 24 plays. In that first half.
And the time of possession was wild.
Super lopsided. Yeah.
But again, you turn the ball over, and that time of possession stuff doesn't really
20-9
doesn't really matter.
Yeah. But I think that to go back to your point about like the self-inflicted mistakes, this is very weird to say. And I tweeted this on the Redditor Radio account on Twitter, and like it's hard to like give nuance on Twitter, but like I think it's like the self-inflicted mistakes are very weird to process, because on one hand, it's your own doing. The muff punts, the drop on a third down, like those are not things that Wisconsin forced. Those are just your mistakes. And on the one hand, it's like, well, if you fix those things, you look at, how the game was being played, play in and play out. SC was outplaying Wisconsin for most of this game, play in and play out. And so if you fix those mistakes, things will, flip around. And it did happen in the second half, but again, you shouldn't have to the little mistakes are signs. We talk about it a lot, signs of coaching and whatnot. And I think this is what makes it weird, because in the first half, you can say that this team was sloppy and poorly coached because of all those little self-inflicted mistakes. But you can't say that about the second half, because they look very well coached and prepared in the second half.
And that's the thing, is that I think that, people make a lot of declarations about what a well-coached team and what a poorly coached team looks like, or make those sort of judgments. To me, the first half felt like the team as a collective was unfocused. Like they maybe either they were still sort of dealing with a hangover from the Michigan game, or they came into this assuming that Wisconsin would just lay down and die for them, and that it would be easy, or they came in not having expended all of their focus last week, and maybe there was some physical and mental tiredness going on here. I don't know. It's entirely possible. I mean, body blow theory, which is sort of, mixed results on whether or not it's real, but body blow theory theoretically is in play for this Wisconsin game, considering what happened with the Michigan game. But the first half was just, I felt collectively everybody was off. The defense wasn't tackling the way that we expect them to. The receivers were dropping passes. Miller Moss was even, not as accurate as you expect him to be. It just was kind of a weird start, and it didn't feel like this was bad coaching. It felt like, unless you ascribe coaching to getting a team focused,
any sort of mistake,
which certainly getting a team focused is part of that. But it was just one of those games.
Yeah, and you talk about the first half. Miller Moss was pressured a lot. The interception that he threw was one that got pressured. We've seen a lot of stuff in the chat about Josh Henson, and ideally you want to keep Miller Moss's jersey in mint condition. You don't want it to get all messed up.
Yeah,
and Alicia, that sort of reminds me of my phone, right? Because you want to keep it mint with Mint Mobile. I love a great deal as much as anybody. And if you look at Mint Mobile, turns out it's really easy to get wireless for just $15 a month. The largest part of the process in getting that Mint Mobile is just the time it takes to spend on hold with the other guys. Super easy to call and join on their website. Just go to mintmobile.com/Troy, TROY. There you'll see that right now all 3-month plans are only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your own phone number along with all your existing contacts. If Grinch is still in your contact list, that's okay. Bring him over to Mint Mobile as well. Tackett Curtis still in your contact list. CJ Williams, bring him on over. With Mint Mobile, find out how easy it is to switch to Mint Mobile. Get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get this new customer service offer, your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Troy. That's mintmobile.com/Troy. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Troy. $45 upfront payment is required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on the first 3-month plans only. Slower speeds above 40 gigs on unlimited plans. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Alicia, big shout out to Chris, who joined us in the Rot Squad as well.
Hey.
Welcome aboard. Let's talk about some of the key players here. We got in the chat. Marcus says, unpopular opinion, but Miller Moss's athletic ability is absolutely hurting us. I honestly think we're better at quarterback if Mayav is their quarterback. Miller's inability to extend plays is hurting us. Marcus, with all due respect, bud, Did you watch the two keepers he had, including the touchdown run on 4th down, in which he spun into the end zone? He picked up a 3rd down earlier in which he also spun. Suddenly, he's a big proponent of the circle button and spinning left and right. I completely disagree with this. If anything, I think that Miller Moss's ability to show that he does have a little bit of athleticism, a la, Cody Kessler, but maybe a little more so, maybe, is a great little wrinkle to the defense to keep, the defense off guard, especially on a, 3rd and 4th down play where, it's just one more man has to, keep an eye on him.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we saw in this game is proof that Miller is not a Matt Leinart level statue. Miller can run if he needs to run. He's not a runner, but it's not like he can't gain yards if those opportunities are there for him. And I think that one thing that USC does need to make sure they do pretty much every game is have Miller set up a situation where Miller can keep one of those read options and take it himself, because it worked to perfection in both instances that he did it in this game, and future defenses will have to be aware of that.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the same as what you have with Caleb Williams or any other very mobile quarterbacks, but I think Miller can do it enough to make it functional. What I took away from Miller in this game is, again, this is a barely functional offensive line. They weren't going against NFL level defensive linemen this time, so they were able to be barely functional as opposed to completely unfunctional. And when Miller was given even that smidge of time, I think he does a beautiful job of navigating the pocket. His pocket feel is wonderful. I thought USC in general, he and the play calling in this game did a really good job of moving the launch point a little bit more, letting him get outside a little bit and deliver the ball. He delivers the ball well on the run. It comes down to Miller understands this offense, and you can see it, and he's accurate. And, he goes 30 of 45 for 308 yards and 3 touchdowns. And the interception, he shouldn't put that up there. But again, this is what happens when quarterbacks are pressured. That's why you want to get pressure on a quarterback. I think one of my big complaints about this game is I don't see USC getting enough natural pressure on the quarterback and letting them get off throws that you don't want to let them get off. But aside from that, back to Miller Moss, I think he's navigating this offense impeccably. And Jaden Mayava looks like a real talent. I think everyone should be really excited to see what this offense could look with him. But you also have to remember, Miller Moss has been learning this offense for 2.5 years. He has lived and breathed Lincoln Riley's system for the entire time that Lincoln Riley has been at USC.
He has a CPAP machine at night that
that feeds in
it
Lincoln
feeds
Riley.
in the plays. It's like mesh.
Yes.
Mesh, stick, mesh.
Jaden Mayava got his first taste of the Lincoln Riley offense in February, March.
Yeah.
He has been learning this offense for less than 6 months. So the fact that Mayava isn't the starting quarterback is because Lincoln Riley knows which quarterback is going to be the best to run his offense.
Yeah.
And if there comes a time where Mayava overtakes Miller and proves that he is the best quarterback for the job, I think I trust Lincoln Riley to make that change because, again, we saw him make that change at Oklahoma.
Hold on. You trust Lincoln Riley with quarterbacks?
I know. Yeah. But I'm super excited about Jaden Mayava. I tend to agree. I think the ceiling of this offense is higher with a Jaden Mayava type quarterback back there.
Theoretically.
But right now, people are assuming that you'll get the throwing and decision-making that you're getting from Miller Moss from Jaden Mayava, and you can't assume that.
Right.
Yes, you'd gain some scrambling and running ability, but you don't know if he's able to operate the offense to make the throws reliably, to not put the ball in harm's way.
Yeah.
Those are things that we don't know, and those are things that I think Miller is more or less doing. Now, he needs to not fumble, but also like that's an offensive line issue a lot of the time. He needs to not throw interceptions, but in this case, like again, the offensive line is contributing to that. So I think Miller is doing very, very well for what he's working with, and not just for what he's working. Like we're not grading on a scale here. I think that Miller Moss is playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and to talk as though he is not an immense positive for this team, somebody who is immensely respected, somebody who is playing the way he needs to play to get victories for USC. I think, I don't know. I think you got to put some respect on Miller Moss's name.
He just threw for 308 yards against Wisconsin, put an absolute couple of dots right on Jacobe Lane. The first touchdown was impeccable, a tight little window, and he put it in there. I think there's plenty of reasons to say that, you have doubted Miller Moss before the season just because you haven't seen him, whatever it is. But I don't think there's any reason to doubt him now, especially when Lincoln Riley is, a quarterback guru and he picked Miller Moss. If Lincoln Riley picks Miller Moss, then I'm going to trust Lincoln Riley's ability to pick the correct quarterback given his track record. He knows more than anybody else about. You can be critical of Lincoln Riley about a million different things with coaching, about his hiring of Grinch, all those things, whatever you want. Be critical left and right, but I feel like quarterback play is not the thing that you can get warranted criticism over. Let's talk about the pass game there, because Jacobe Lane, best game of his career. Or best game of his career?
Absolutely. Jacobe Lane was the offense for most of this game. He makes the tough catches when you need him to make the tough catches.
Yeah.
He is such a vertical threat for USC with those fades. Whether USC is dropping a fade and doing the red zone fade or just hitting him down the sideline, he is such a spectacular physical threat, and it is so great to see USC taking advantage of that. And it's so great to see Miller Moss. It was almost like Miller Marks. Yeah. It was almost like Miller. We had seen him using Lake McCree as his safety blanket in previous games, and now Lake McCree is out, and it feels like he's transitioned his safety blanket to Jacobe Lane, and Jacobe Lane has more than warranted having that kind of trust put on him. You know what? He reminded me a lot of like Michael Pittman of the YOLO ball offense, where it was like that receiving core. Tyler Vaughn's was the same way, where you could throw it up and the receivers are going to come down with it. And the luxury of a quarterback having a player like that to throw to, you cannot overstate it.
Yeah. I think that, there was a comment in the chat that I missed who it was from earlier, but that he reminds somebody of Dwayne Jarrett. And I think it's really easy to do when he's wearing the number 8, but like,
he's faster than Jarrett. I mean,
sure, but I think I'm faster than Dwayne Jarrett, but I think he does remind me a lot of Jarrett, because Jarrett was different. Like, to me, Pittman was more Mike Williams, and he's just a big dude that's just going to go muscle his way there. And I feel like Jarrett and Jacobe Lane are sneakily physical. Like, Jacobe Lane is a big dude, but like, he's not as physically imposing as, say, Michael Pittman or Mike Williams if you just look at him. But he plays like that, and I think that his ability to sort of go up and be physical and challenge corners, and he's won now. What is it, like 3 times? He's won a go ball.
Yeah.
Which
so throw it up there, and somebody's going to come down with it, and he makes sure it's him. And he judges the ball so well. Like, his sense of where the ball is going to be, of timing his leaps and strong hands to come down with the catch.
Yeah.
And then also, like, he's not just a lob ball merchant. We saw him make a gorgeous catch, NFL level catch on the sideline, tiptoe, holding onto the ball, keeping it firm in his hands. He was absolutely immense. And I am so excited to see him continue to be an impact player for this offense. But
Right.
I also I want Deuce Robinson to look at Jacobe Lane and see the way that he uses his physicality to his advantage, because I think that in the earlier on in the game, when USC was targeting Deuce, it felt like Deuce was not being physical the way that he needed to. And then he comes through with those 2 huge catches later on and proves that he can do that. But if USC has Jacobe Lane and Deuce Robinson both making those kinds of catches in a game, it's going to be extremely difficult to deal with this passing offense.
Yeah, I think that, the SC offense and the receiving core having a million dudes and not having a outright number 1 receiver is great in a lot of ways, because, different guys can have a big game. You can spread the ball around. You can have, diversity in your pass game and all those things. Having said that, I thought it was really, really good to see Jacobe Lane just sort of step up and be like, no, I'm going to be the dude today.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the dude. Because nobody has stepped up. There was a lot of talk last week, or really all week, about Zachariah Branch not being that guy to really step up and say, I'm the guy, even though he had 98 yards and 6 catches last week. But what Jacobe Lane did today was way more impactful than that. And you want to see other guys be able to do that as well. We got a couple big super chats we want to get to. Guy says, team has heart and spirit and the O-line problems. Yeah, they have all those things. Spirit and heart and O-line problems. Yeah. And Tim in LA comes in with a $38.21 super chat. Don't know, why do you think that would be?
I think that's the final score, Michael.
Yeah, there you go.
Now I'm officially rooting for some big score.
Yeah, you need one of those 77-17 type games. Yeah. Tim says, 1 covered, easy day, bum beats the Gophers, bum. Conquest plays triumphantly, Tim says. Yeah, I think that, going back to what we were talking about earlier about the first half and the second half and the dichotomy of the two, it's one of those things where it's you gotta have sort of faith in this team. I think they've earned it. I think they've earned the second half play. I think is there's PTSD of the post Carroll era, absolutely, and there should be all of that. I think there should be high standards, all of those things, absolutely true. The other side of it is, I think this team has shown through 4 games that they are a second half team, and they sort of deserve the benefit of the doubt through a shaky first half, because we haven't seen them not do that, right? We've seen them come through and have success in the second half and be that team. Skill K, another big super chat. We appreciate you. Do you sell rot merch? I need koozies. We haven't sold rot merch in a cool minute, but we need to. We need to talk to the powers that be about doing that. So hopefully soon. Ron Murdy says, where is Jesse? We were scrambling before this episode and didn't get a Jesse cam, which is not good, because I think we got a tweet from Alex earlier this week that said Jesse cam on the next podcast, or we riot. I think Alex is going to be rioting
right next to me. Whoop, there's Jesse. Yeah. Whoop, Jesse.
There you go. Yeah. Would you hold on? Would you say that Jesse is a dog who's under you? Would that make her an underdog?
I would make her she's a dog who's under the desk, so she is definitely an underdog.
She's an underdog. Who else is an underdog? Underdog Fantasy. Alicia, it's football season. It's going to be a long one. Plenty of opportunities to go to Underdog Fantasy and win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing whether you think your favorite players will go higher or lower than their stat projections. Making picks on Underdog is a straightforward opportunity, and signing up is even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple to use mobile app or underdogfantasy.com. Sign up with the promo code Reign of Troy. It's really easy. All you got to do, look at the stat projections. You got to see how many points is SC going to score in the second half, and you're going to go higher. First half lower, probably. Probably, assuming that's over on Underdog Fantasy. Underdog will give you a free pick
higher on the opponent
in the first half.
On the first half,
lower
on the opponent in the second.
In the second, this is like what's the is it Plinko is a higher lower?
Plinko. Yeah.
Is that one of the higher lower ones? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
From Price is Right. Yeah. Anyways, Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy. Promo code Radio of Troy to claim your new customer special or a free pick and your deposit offer. The Bears are playing tomorrow. You can watch Caleb Williams and look at his stat projection over on Underdog Fantasy.
Go higher on Caleb Williams sacks.
Yeah, unfortunately. It must be 18 plus, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply, void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. If you're in New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-888-7-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467 369. You know what 369 reminds me of?
369 something fine.
No.
Talk it to me one more time. Get low. No. Okay.
No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9.
I don't know.
Beat the Gophers. No?
Okay.
No?
Sure.
No? Any band people? Anybody? Anybody back me up? Oh boy.
Perhaps.
All right, let's take a quick break for our audio listeners, and we'll come right back here with the Carcast. That's for the editing process. It makes it easy. Makes it easy to see the cut. But we're on YouTube. We're not cutting, baby. We're staying here. All right, let's talk about other Trojans to talk about. Let's talk about the second half and defense. I thought the defense really throughout this game, like we got a comment earlier from Ilian 55. The D was good enough in the end. 21 points is a good day in the end. Yeah, I think that the defense, the first half was the worst SC defense we've seen this season.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you look at the whole game as a whole, I don't know how you can really have any complaints, especially with the second half. They had the first drive. Wisconsin picked up a blitz. There was a sick, disgusting, dirty move from Bryson Green on Jacoby Covington that was super hard for him to pick up, and he couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And he was beat over the top, didn't get any safety help because it was a blitz, pretty much an all-out blitz. And they hit the money ball. The big play that broke SC's back against Michigan, roared its head in the very first drive of the game. The second time Wisconsin scored was on a short field, 16-yard touchdown run from Tawi Walker, and it's a 16-yard run on a short field. Obviously, you'd like him to make him work for it a little bit more. It's a short field right after a muff punt. To me, that's on the offense, on the special teams.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the third drive. It's the third drive for me. That was a struggle bus for the defense. Wisconsin's best drive of the game, 7 plays, 75 yards, 3 minutes and 14 seconds. DeCarlos Nicholson comes in at corner. Braden Locke immediately throws a deep ball in his direction. It's a great catch. Gets 2 feet down. And that sort of sets up a drive where it's just 8 yards, 9 yards, 10 yards, just down the field, which is not what we talked about all week as the preview of Wisconsin, is that this is a team that gains a lot of 3 and 4 yard plays. And if you can hold them to that and make them just sort of burn out before they score, you're gonna, be able to keep them in check. And that's what happened in the second half. But that one drive didn't go so well. But when you look at the second half, and it's punt, downs, punt, interception, downs, that one bad drive starts to look like an anomaly. Like they had one bad drive against LSU too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And against Michigan.
Yeah.
This defense is, I think it is what I think it is. I think we're looking at a 20-point defense, Michael.
Oh boy.
I think we're looking at a 20 points defense, which is what I've been begging for a long time. So
Hot damn, that defense.
I'm not mad about it. My issue with the defensive performance today is just that the tackling was so much worse. It felt like USC was letting Wisconsin, especially in the first half, get extra yards that we had seen them in previous games do a much better job of fine, we're going to give you some of those yards, but we're not going to let you get any more, and we're going to make sure that you have to work hard to get the first down. And I think Wisconsin had several first downs that were just gifted because USC wasn't they weren't tackling, they weren't hitting, they weren't positioned well to take on the play. And in the second half, we saw an immediate change. I think whatever it was, it felt like the guys who were closer to the line of scrimmage were doing a much better job of making contact and then having the play stop thereabouts.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, as Guy in the chat points out, that hit by Kamari Ramsey was just immense. That hit is
oh my God,
the definition of textbook. And Kamari Ramsey is capable of that, and it's great to see him make that play. But I felt like the hits were harder in the second half. The tackling, the wrapping up was more sure, and it was such a change from the first half. I don't quite understand why the first half was what it was, because they played a lot like an Alex Grinch defense in the first half, and I think that D'Anton Lynn is going to show them that tape of those long plays that they gave up and point out that like those are backbreaking plays, but the defense that plays the way it did in the second half that doesn't give those plays up.
Yeah.
And you end up in a position where you're winning a game comfortably because you don't give those plays up. And I watch a lot of football across a Saturday. From morning till night, I'm watching college football because I'm covering it. And I will say a lot of teams come out sluggish. A lot of teams don't look great in the first half. And a lot of the really good teams, you see them pull away in the second half. But the difference between their performances often and what USC put on the field today is a lot of times it's their offenses that are sluggish, and it takes a little while to figure out. But their defenses keep, like you said, 13-10 kind of scoreline. That's what USC's defense needs to start delivering. I would like to expect a lot more from USC's offense at this point, but that's a whole other discussion. But the defense looks capable right now of doing that job. And I think that's why 21 points, as much as I love the concept of a 20-point defense, like this is a disappointing 21 points, because this USC could have stifled this Wisconsin offense. And they did for large stretches of this game, but they need to, again, find a way to keep their focus long enough to not give up those big plays.
And I know it's silly, but like you talk about the 21 points, like if that was 14,
it's very different.
Like it just looks better. You know what I mean? I don't know that anything really changes, but it just looks better. It just looks better a little bit. The talk about the 20-point defense is great for SC, because if that's what they are, that's huge. But I think that they can be even better than that. Last year, UCLA with D'Anton Lynn was 18.4 points per game on defense. Obviously, they didn't play Oregon and Washington. Maybe that factors in. Maybe that means they're a 20-point defense if they play a harder schedule. I don't know, whatever. But I think when you look at it, like, because SC is so good in the second half, if they just get marginally better in the first half, then these games do end up looking like 38-14 instead of 38-21. And part of that is, there's a pick six there. So that makes it look better than 31-21. Sure.
Right. But like, again, in the first half against Michigan, it's 2 bad plays from the defense.
Yeah.
And in the first half here against Wisconsin, it's 3 turnovers.
Yeah.
One of them a special teams turnover and 2 of them on the offense. And, these are big things that you clean up and you become a significantly better team, a significantly more competitive team, because you do have the pieces for the most part across your lineup.
Yeah.
But it is also easier said than done to cut out those kinds of mistakes, because those kinds of mistakes get cut out when all 11 players on the field are doing their job.
Yeah.
And as Cam Hammer in the chat says, shows how important motivation and focus are.
Yeah.
All 11 guys on the field at any time have to have the proper motivation and the proper focus at all times in order to avoid those deadly mistakes. And that's what this team needs to figure out how to do to avoid this kind of scare, I think, against teams like Penn State and Notre Dame that probably won't let your offense go out in the second half and score 3 touchdowns and look like suddenly everything's okay.
Well, we've seen 2 games so far that SC has scored in the 20s themselves, right?
Yeah.
LSU and Michigan. LSU, they pull out at the end. Michigan, they don't. So, yeah, again, in games like that, if you can hold them to 17, whatever it is, it's even better. It's even better. So I think there's room for the defense to improve. Talking about key players to mention in this game, Kamari Ramsey, great day, 4 tackles, only 4 tackles. He led the team with 4 tackles. Your leader only having 4 tackles is fascinating.
Well, Wisconsin didn't actually run that many plays.
No, but it also shows that like everybody was getting involved defensively too.
4 different players had 4 tackles in this game.
Ramsey, Nicholson, Gentry, and Kobe Pepe.
Yes. And that's
and only 2 of those were tackles for loss, and Kamari Ramsey had both of them. The third down play especially
was huge.
Like, geez. Like that you and I watched in the same room for the first half, different rooms in the second half, because you got to change it up. Like SC was struggling. You got to move. Like I moved from one couch to the studio. You moved from one couch to the other couch.
And I
changed T-shirts
and my pants.
You got to change everything, right? And clearly that's why SC outscored them 28-0 in the second half. You can think us, but when you look at it too, like, I had walked out to walk Jesse before we came on the pod. And I'm like, that Kamari Ramsey play, was that not the most porny like defensive play you've seen from SC so far this year? Like it was beautiful. They blitz lock sort of handles the blitz in the best way he can, sort of forces it out, and very textbook, throw it at, like, just get to the swing man. And Kamari Ramsey is right there. It doesn't matter. It's almost like they baited them in to throw it to the swing man, and Kamari Ramsey just drills him and stops him in his track for a loss.
It was one of those plays that happens kind of in slow motion. You see USC blitz, and then that pass goes up, and it's kind of a little looping pass, and you sort of, your eyes go down to the flat, and you're like, okay, do we have somebody there to stop him? And then you see the Kamari Ramsey coming bearing down, and because I'm still traumatized, I'm holding my breath and waiting for the receiver to catch the ball and then make a little move and run free and have a big play. But this is Kamari Ramsey, so it's, unfounded fears, and he just pops the guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely textbook, perfect, powerful statement making kind of hit that is that you get out of a guy like Kamari Ramsey. And Kamari had some moments against Michigan that were less than stellar, and USC paid for those. But in this game, I thought he was outstanding.
He had to be. Achille Arnold didn't play in the game. They were talking about it on the Trojans pregame show about who would have the mic. Did we ever get a confirmation
who it was?
Yeah, I don't know, but like it makes sense that it would be Kamari Ramsey to put the mic in there inside of his helmet, and he absolutely played like the stud safety when you got to. Bryson Shaw came in. Zion Branch came in at safety too. Kamari Ramsey came out for a play, but he was fine. A lot of people in the chat said you got to change the juju. Says Hammer Time 55. Calix Rose, I kneel in front of the TV. Callie Cat and Callie Matt stopped watching together. Callie Cat says she moved upstairs after the first half.
See, apparently USC football wants couples to be separated.
Yeah.
'Cause
Chris says I flipped from the couch to the chair at half and everything changed. There you go. See, it's not that SC is a first half or a second half team.
It's that
people are choosing the wrong places to watch the game.
Yeah, we got it.
Come on.
We got to figure this out, guys.
Yeah.
We got to figure it out. But
yeah.
I do want to I want to shout out Eric Gentry. Again, he's just such a fun player to watch, and it really hurts to see him go down injured.
Yeah.
He got carted off to the locker room, but apparently he walked back down the tunnel before the end of the game.
Yeah, there's no update from Lincoln Riley.
So yeah, no update from him. They're calling it a neck injury. Miller Moss seemed to have a neck injury as well. If those are concussions, then I don't think you expect to see either one of them on Saturday next week.
Yeah.
But the fact that Miller Moss was allowed to come back in the game and the fact that they're seeming to call this a neck injury makes it sound more like a stinger or something like that.
Maybe. I don't know. The Miller Moss replay, every time they would show it and you'd see his head snap back, because you're looking to see did his ball go over the line, right? Like did he cross the plane? And the whole time I'm like, I don't care about that. Wait, ugh.
And then the Gentry one,
head would just snap back over and over again.
The Gentry one, he was just trying to do that thing that defenders do where they're sort of like jumping over the tackled player. And you can see in his mind what he's going to do is do like a little like somersault where he's going to sort of roll and be fine. But then his like helmet just sort of sticks in the turf and it just like the wrong way.
Right. Hey, with the Miller Moss thing, I gotta give him credit. He wore a Visus.
He did.
It's an ugly looking helmet. It's an ugly Visus, but hey,
that's what it's there for.
It's there for that, I guess.
Yeah. It's the concern coming out of this game is definitely that the injuries are piling up for USC.
Yeah. Especially without SC's best player on defense, Bear Alexander, no longer on the team.
Bear Alexander no longer on the team. But the good thing is that if Gentry isn't available, then you do have Cobb and Mascarenas Arnold, so you still have starting caliber players that can be there. Hopefully, Akili Arnold, he was listed as questionable, which makes me think maybe he'll be back for next week. Hope to have him out there, but frankly, I didn't necessarily notice the like Zion Branch or Bryson Shaw in a negative way.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I'll see when I rewatch the game, and maybe some of those missed tackles and stuff like that.
It wasn't Grinch era Bryson Shaw for you?
He certainly didn't get burned the way Grinch era Bryson Shaw got burned.
I think of Grinch era Bryson Shaw as in being in the correct place and then just no ability to make the tackle. And then this year they focused on tackling tremendously to the point that guys are able to make the tackle now.
Well, Bryson Shaw didn't have a tackle in the game, so
there you go.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what any of these mean. Either way, I think that it does start to get concerning as the important players start picking up injuries. But for now, I think Kobe Pepe saw a lot of run in this game. Hard to evaluate his performance without looking at it back, but obviously in the second half, whatever they were doing was working across the board. So yeah.
Really quick, you mentioned the 20-point offense earlier.
20-point defense.
The 20-point defense earlier. I didn't mention this in the preview, but I was looking up the numbers. First of all, what if we always said that a Lincoln Riley offense needs on defense? Like a top what defense?
Oh, like a top 40 defense?
Top 40 defense? Yeah. SC came into this game, defensive FEI, number 31.
The pride of FEI.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is that this is not the the best version of a Lincoln Riley offense, because I'm going to go out on a limb and
Which
say
makes them even more valuable.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is the worst offensive line that Lincoln Riley has ever had. So that's an issue. But yeah, it's good to see the defense doing work. It's good to see everybody doing work. Obviously you want them to do that work in the first half too, but
Yeah, sometimes it's good to save it. And we saved your guys' comments here on YouTube. Let's hit the mailbag and wrap this thing up.
You've got mail.
All right, let's go. Let's run through these. Roman Murray says, how do we help the O-line get better? Have 2 tight ends blocking on pass plays? Question mark.
I don't know.
You want some 21 personnel?
Maybe.
I guess this 12 personnel. I'm not an expert.
21 is 2 running backs.
Yeah, it's 12.
Yeah. 12. I mean, you could do 12 personnel, but at the same time, Walker Lyons and Cade Eldridge, Walker Lyons especially, like, I do want him as an outlet in the passing game. So
I thought the tight ends were really good.
Yeah. Oh, Walker Lyons looks like a weapon for USC. He looks so natural catching the ball.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big dude.
Eldridge
Cade Eldridge is doing for being a young tight ends usually aren't very good at blocking, because most young tight ends aren't asked to do this level of blocking in high school. Cade Eldridge is doing a fantastic job stepping in and becoming the primary blocking tight end for USC in Lake McCree's absence. And he's capable of catching the ball too. It's really great to see both of those guys step up, because USC really needs both of those guys to be functional, and they've been more than that so far. But I don't know if you like Guy in the chat, 2 tight ends, 2 backs for blocking. So you do 22 personnel. That leaves you two receivers, or are we out of? Is there too many players on the field now? Four guys in the backfield. Yeah, that's 5 linemen, a quarterback. That's 1 receiver. So 1 receiver. Yeah. 22 personnel.
That's all you need. Jacobe Lane. Just put Jacobe Lane out there.
Yeah,
you're
just
good.
have him do jump balls all day. Yeah, it could certainly get interesting. But unfortunately, I don't think there's a fix for the offensive line. The offensive line, the injury report for the Wisconsin game included Micah Benuelos and Killian O'Connor. And basically the only realistic changes, aside from getting the guys you have to play better, the only realistic changes that you can make is to change the lineup and put guys who are currently backups in. But at the same time, guys who are currently backups are backups for a reason. It's hard to say that, I think that I don't want to call anybody out, but there were particular offensive linemen who were at the scene of every crime. And the big problem is I don't know who USC really has realistically to replace those players. So it's very, very difficult to fix in the middle of the season. I think that the way that you do this is more you tailor your offense around the idea. So every offense, more or less, every passing offense is coming in thinking you want the ball to get out in 3 seconds. I think USC needs to start game planning
2.5
for 2.5 at most.
Yeah.
And Miller Moss has done a really good job of speeding up his internal clock and getting the ball out. But the routes that USC's running need to reflect that time shift. And I know that half a second doesn't seem like a lot of time, but when you're running precision routes that timing is everything, that half a second is everything.
Yeah. Let's talk about the O-line. I want to talk about the run game really quick. First of all, Quentin Joyner. Yards per carry.
What? Oh no!
Pretty.
Oh God!
Pretty good.
Don't want to spoil the over under.
Yeah, but the thing that
the overhit.
The thing that happened is what I hoped wouldn't happen. In that I thought he'd have a lot of carries, and he only had 6 carries to Woody Marks's 19.
But he was consistently good.
We had a question.
11, 6, 15, 4, 11, 2. that, like, the thing about Quentin Joyner is, he doesn't hit a 50-yarder. He's just consistently good every time he gets the ball.
Yeah, Marcus in the chat says, is it me or does Joyner look like a much better runner than Marks? I think he should get more touches. What say you? I think Quentin Joyner should probably get more touches, but at the same time, Woody Marks is an integral part of USC's passing attack as well.
Mm-hmm. 4
Not
catches.
As a catch, as somebody who will catch the ball, but also no blocking, no Rocky. And we've seen him be capable in pass pro when he needs to be. He's not a liability in pass pro when he's out there. I haven't necessarily noted Quentin Joyner, but the fact that he is not in there as often as Woody Marks, to me, speaks to maybe that side of the game. So usually there's a rhyme to this reason, and Kyle McDonald is a really good running back coach.
Are you going to forget that he's no longer here? Oh,
shoot. He's no longer here. Who's the running back coach now?
It's the new dude I always forget. So
oh my gosh.
Look at me being terrible too.
I take it back. Whoever the running backs coach is.
We'll cut that out.
Yeah. It's a long off season and life is strange.
So I think what Woody Marks does, he is a air raid running back.
Anthony Jones Jr. is USC's running back
coach.
Wait,
Tony Jones?
No,
sorry.
Yeah. No, he was the running backs coach at TCU, and he was producing very, very good running backs at TCU. Yeah. And I think that for me at this point, like, there are certainly coaches that we get to the point where you can actually question their personnel decisions.
Yeah.
But right now, I have no reason to question Anthony Jones's personnel decisions.
I have one gripe. I didn't. Part of me is, and maybe I'm just going to talk this out of it, but talk myself out of this. I didn't like the drive that they start at the 1-inch line because that incredible punt from Atticus Bertram's.
Brian Jackson,
true freshman, is the running back for those plays. And I get Brian Jackson is a big dude. He's a big lumbering dude. I think they want him to be sort of the physical power back. And I get it. That's where you probably want your power back. So sure. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I didn't like about that was putting a true freshman in a danger zone like that. And
especially
when you have Woody Marks, who is so,
or Quentin Joyner, who is maybe not a traditional power back, but he runs between the tackles very well.
Right.
And it's not like he needed a breather because he was barely in the game.
Well,
so yeah, that was a strange decision.
It was 2 runs from Jackson, and they bring in Woody Marks, and he gets 10 on 3rd and 9.
Yeah.
The 2. Yeah. So yeah, that's a nitpick. I think with Woody Marks, like I was saying, he's like an air raid running back. He went to Mississippi State back when they had Mike Leach. And I think he fits that style. And I think that's what you want.
Yeah.
As an SC running back, someone who can catch the ball. And I think that you want both Marks and Joyner to be the dudes.
Yeah.
And so I think you need both of them. Obviously, Joyner was significantly better in a yards per carry aspect today, 8.2. Woody Marks was just at 3.3. 19 carries, 63 yards is not good for Woody Marks that way, but I don't know that it's on him.
When you know what offensive line he's running into, like, I think he's doing an extremely admirable job, and he's providing value elsewhere in the passing attack too. I think Woody Marks thus far has been an impeccable addition, and it's really great to have him. But at the same time, with running backs, I never go through a season assuming that USC will have their starting running back available for the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what you've seen from Quentin Joyner so far is that when the inevitable happens, for however long it happens, I feel very, very comfortable with Quentin Joyner getting a heavier load and seeing what he's capable of doing. But right now, USC's running backs are making lemonade out of lemons, and it's really nice to see that from another really successful transfer, and also a guy who's now more homegrown. And this is USC has been very dependent on transfer running backs since Lincoln Riley arrived. But what you're seeing from Quentin Joyner, what you're seeing for getting them, having them even put Brian Jackson in this game tells you that USC will become less and less dependent on whatever running back they can get out of the portal, because they have these guys coming up the line.
Yeah, Calix Rose in the chat says they look fresh, though. Yeah, the running backs do look fresh when they come in, which I think is good. I think that helps Quentin Joyner, too, because he can come in and go balls to the wall when he gets in there because he's fresh and ready to go. More comments here to funnel through. The Dirty Workers says they were a pick 6 away from 4-0. I'll take that at this point of the year in a new conference. Absolutely.
Holy hell. I'm sorry. I just saw the Alabama score.
Do I need to Google this?
Good Lord.
Hold on.
What happened?
Hold on. Stanford's losing 10-3. Oh, 21-0 in the first quarter. You made it sound like it was going to be 40-0.
In the
I mean, it's shocking.
21-0 in the first quarter, and you're like, "Oh no, what are you talking about?"
Yes, but like
what?
Like stopping the podcast shocking
I'm
is
sorry.
like 40-0.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anyways, SC's a pick 6 away from being 4-0. And yeah, absolutely, you take that right now. I think the other thing that we talked about in the SC wins if video that we put over on YouTube, which if you're not watching our YouTube videos, be sure to like and subscribe and check those out. But one of the things we said, if SC is truly the number 13 team in the country, then Wisconsin is a game in which they should win and cover. Like, there's a reason that they were the 16-point favorites. Play like it. And the game ends, and you look at the box score, and absolutely that's the case. And I think that's going to help SC. People who watch the game, I'm very interested to see what sort of the national perception is of this game, especially when it's on CBS. Like, everybody's watching the CBS game, right? But if you didn't watch the game, you just look at the box score, you'd be like, yeah, that's what I expected. SC was 16-point favorites. They won by 17.
And I think that I think that, again, if you watch enough college football across the country, you see a lot of games that look exactly like this. Maybe not exactly, because, again, you don't want to give up 21 points in the first half. But you see a lot of games that start slow, and then the better team pulls away, and that's exactly what USC did in the second half. The national perspective that I would be afraid of is anyone who watched that game can see what a problem USC's offensive line is, and that's not going away.
Yeah, for sure. Cameron in the chat says, Cameron from Frisco, Texas. Does this offense remind you of a Pete Carroll offense, terrible in the first half and go off in the second? Yeah, we were talking about this at the beginning, at the top of the show. I think that I don't think it's just the offense. I think in this game, I think you saw that at the defense too. But I think
it feels like a Pete Carroll team in that sense. I'm not going to go
right. I think that's the thing.
I'm not making the exact comparison, but like, it does feel like Pete Carroll second half adjustments.
Yes, and I think when we're talking about Pete Carroll teams, we're talking about how they play in that sense.
Yes,
we're not literally saying that this is literally the 2005 team.
Yeah.
But the 2005 team was just notorious for that.
And again, and I think this is another thing that's pointing towards my ultimate thesis around this game and this season, is that if this were truly a Pete Carroll team, then they would literally make it through the rest of the season winning games like this and not having it coming to bite them in the butt.
You know
what? Well, except for this would be a Pete Carroll team, because guess what? They lost the conference road opener. Classic Pete Carroll team.
I got another one.
Go ahead.
SC's getting great quarterback play and people still want the backup.
Great
classic
play.
Pete Carroll.
Classic Pete Carroll.
Classic. Put Mark Sanchez out there.
Yeah. The defense comes out in the second half and absolutely just shuts down the opposing offense, and gives the talented but apparently flawed offense the time to go ahead and start piling up the points, and things just start to snowball in the second half.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll's teams could do that because that was their identity, and they did that identity very well.
And they were so good that they could overcome those mistakes.
Yes. So, and they did it every single time they overcame those mistakes, bar, the classic Pete Carroll upset. But in this day and age, like, that wouldn't even be a problem any year because you'd still get in. What I think the gap with this team is I don't think that USC can keep getting away with performances like this.
Okay, Jesse.
Full performances like this. Second half performances like this, sign me up the whole rest of the way.
Yeah.
But full first, second half performances, USC can't get into this kind of hole and expect to get out of it every time. And that's and that's going to be ultimately, we will see from this team. This team gets to prove me right or wrong on that. And I always say I love to be wrong when I doubt USC, but this team will prove whether or not they have that Pete Carroll gene in them or not.
Yeah, you can have slow starts, not bad starts.
Yeah.
This was a bad start. Like we talked about in the opening, your slow start should be tied at half, and then just completely control the second half or something like that. That's what a slow start, if anything, should look like, or a bad half should look like. Chris from Portland says, what do we do with Branch? More deep passes? Use him only in the slot for crossing routes and screens? Just bench him? I don't know. There were a couple deep shots with him today. One of them ended up in a pick, which, can we talk about the pick for a second here? Miller Moss has got guys in his face. He's got to get the ball out quick. I think he probably short arms it because of that. He throws to Zachariah Branch, who is not open on the deep route. And there was chat earlier, a combo in the chat earlier about Zachariah Branch's speed, and might it be deceptive because he doesn't always look as fast as you think he is.
Well,
is it a lack of football speed or something? Because, like, it's a deep ball. It's just a go route for him, and he's not beating the dude at all.
This is I have two issues with Zachariah Branch as a deep ball threat, the way we'd love to see him be like his video game counterpart. In order to be a deep ball threat, it's not just about being fast. You need to get off the ball really well. Your route needs to be good enough that you are able to blow by the corner. And I suspect that Zachariah Branch is not a polished enough route runner to create that initial separation. And then also, I think Zachariah Branch needs to bulk up even more than he did this past season, because he doesn't look strong enough right now. Like, the difference between watching him and Jacobe Lane, and obviously they're not the same players, but Zachariah Branch would be a much more dangerous deep threat if, for instance, let's compare Zachariah Branch to Taj Washington. Smaller, slower receiver.
Led the country in
incredible
long balls.
Deep threat. Why? Because he had the kind of strength, vision, sense to go up and get the ball when it's at the perfect time, perfect spot to be caught.
Yeah.
And I don't get the sense that Zachariah Branch has that skill
yet.
And you want to see him develop that, but like right now he doesn't seem like a viable deep threat, especially when you have guys like Deuce Robinson and Jacobe Lane who are much more viable deep threats.
They seem more technical. Yeah. I think that you want a perfect example of this. Go watch Wisconsin's touchdown pass on the 63-yard touchdown pass.
Yes, that little move.
The little move that's what's his name? Bryson Green put on Jacoby Covington was dirty. It was nasty. So like a little stutter step.
And it's literally just the slightest little stutter step. It doesn't even break his stride or slow him down at all. It
completely cooks Covington, right? Like, and that's an aspect that I think that Taj Washington was able to do. Taj is not the fastest dude. He's probably got average speed for a receiver. But I think he had the technical ability to, put a defender on the back foot. And you saw that from Bryson Green there. And when Zachariah Branch learns that little trick, then he can sort of become Tyreek Hill. But like Tyreek Hill isn't just a speed merchant. He's a speed merchant who has great footwork.
The truly great speed merchants are never just speed merchants.
Right.
They are technical masters.
I saw a tweet that went viral yesterday or whatever about Le'Veon Bell.
Yes.
And how he tweeted that like he's like, I never went max speed ever in a game. And it's just this highlight reel of him just not pressing the sprint button in a video game, right? Like just, slowly just weaving through the line. And like that's sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you got to be savvy with how you move.
That doesn't mean that Zachariah Branch can't be a very effective receiver for USC.
Right.
He's USC's second leading receiver in this game with 4 catches for 44 yards. It's certainly not his best day.
I liked how they used him though.
I think that they're trying to give him opportunities with the ball in his hands, which is where he's most dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And they aren't breaking right now. And you just sort of have to hope that eventually they start breaking. But it's possible USC's just being a little bit too predictable with him.
They did finally go a couple deep shots on him. One was a free play and one was the pick. But I really liked the little reverse that they ran. Little flip to him. The mesh play was great.
I get him on mesh because this is the thing we talk about, like vertical speed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, vertical speed is definitely a big weapon, but horizontal speed when you've got a corner on you trying to chase you as you're making that line across, and you have a little mesh concept. Zachariah Branch could do tons of damage against like man defense. If you have him on mesh, if you do mesh with him.
And I liked that third down play with the mesh. If you don't know what a mesh concept is, basically you have 2 receivers, 2 sort of slot receivers. They don't have to be slot receivers.
Well, they're the inside receivers usually.
Yeah, and they cross on drags right across. They mesh.
And hopefully get their
right beyond the defensive line, just a couple yards downfield. And the read, if you're the quarterback, is your first read is the wheel route out of the backfield, and then you scan the field across. There's a great video from X Brown about this on TikTok. You scan the field across is why it's like the best play for quarterbacks and everybody, because like it's an easy progression because you go, is the wheel route open?
2,
Nope.
3.
Okay. Is this drag open? Nope. Is this curl route open? Nope. Well, then that drag guy must be open. Like you just scan all the way across. And the way that play worked, they had Woody Marks out in motion, and the wheel route is sort of quickened by that. And I think they use Woody as sort of a clear out for Zachariah Branch on the drag. And it's great. You get to use him in speed, picks up the first down.
I just feel like we haven't seen USC do that a bunch. Or at least maybe I'm just not remembering.
I think we're seeing it more, but there could be more of it. I mean, it's a quick pass play, right? And I think that quick pass plays are good when you have a offensive line that is not functioning at a high level. Okay, let's go quickly through the rest of these comments and questions to get to. Cam Hammer says, are the drops and wide receiver miscues a consequence of spreading the ball around too much?
Honestly, I think those drops, we've seen them mostly from my memory earlier on in games when USC seems generally lacking focus. And it's not necessarily just a receiver thing. I think we're seeing that from across the lineup. The big exception for that is that late drop. I think it was Zachariah Branch at the end of the Michigan game. But, in a certain sense, drops will happen. But the way that they seem to be happening to USC feels just like a lack of concentration from guys early in the game. And USC does have to figure out how to get those guys locked in earlier, because if they were locked in, you do a lot more damage early.
Yeah. The Angry Charger says, do you think the Bear drama played any part of the team coming out incredibly flat in the first half?
I don't think so, because they've done this. It feels like a trend.
Yeah, I think so. Hammer Time 55. Should the coaches be teaching a little more aggression with regards to blocking, since clearly the Big Ten refs seem to let him play?
I would start telling my dudes to just start holding and hold until they call a hold and then, back off the holding. But it seems to me that that's the meta in the Big Ten. They're not going to call it.
It's insane to me how much is let go. It's not just the holds. I thought there were multiple times that SC's DBs got away with holds.
DBs are just as handsy as they've always been.
Yeah, and it's not called.
Yeah,
and so it goes both ways.
Yeah.
There was. Yeah, the one thing I will give the Big Ten is that they're consistent. And consistency is half of what you're looking for, but they are consistently letting everybody play.
Once you get used to that being the way it is, you can take advantage of it.
Yeah. Lamont says, do you think the refs missed 2 targeting penalties that should have been called? Because I did. I was fine with the no calls on targeting.
I didn't even think that targeting on the hit on Miller Moss was roughing the passer. Personally, I think that's a impossible situation for a defender who's running headlong into a guy who's throwing the ball. And if the defender is close enough that Miller Moss's follow through can hit him on the shoulder pad, then that's not roughing the passer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the one with Jacobe Lane with his lid popped off.
That one,
I think that's one where in real time it looks bad.
Yeah.
But then you watch the replay and you see the helmet pops off. That's part of the reason why it looks bad. And then it's just shoulder. It's just shoulder.
I just don't like seeing guys get ejected. So I am anti-targeting penalties.
Yeah, I agree. Gary says, why doesn't Josh Henson get questioned? Not sure he should have been retained this year.
Well,
it's a valid question. I think we're asking it.
He's got questioned this week from me. I think there should be massive question marks around Josh Henson and the job he's doing. I get that the job he's doing is very difficult with the linemen that he has available to him, but it's year 3. That means the linemen that he has available to him are handpicked by him. And
even if he didn't recruit them, he's signed off on them still being here and all that stuff.
So I do not think that it's a tough job that he's got.
Yeah,
he's not doing a good enough job to make some lemonade out of lemons.
Chicken soup out of chicken soup.
There you go.
Yeah. Joe says, thank you for the great channel, Joe Boyd. You both are doing a great job. Thank you. We appreciate you. Fight on Natties says, what's the kickoff time against Penn State? The draft is Monday for the Penn State game. October 12th draft, kickoff time draft is Monday. This upcoming Monday, the 30th.
Whether or not,
I would bank on there not being a time that it'll be a 6-day window.
If Penn State beats Illinois, I almost guarantee you that we will not get a time until that 6-day window for that game.
Yeah, it's Ohio State, Oregon is the same day.
It's the it's the Carmageddon of college football games.
Yeah, Ohio State, Oregon. I think if both of those teams are undefeated, I think that's probably the CBS game. The 4:30 NBC game or whatever could be SC Penn State. Maybe, I don't know. Or
Ohio
maybe they
State,
decide it's the other way around. I don't know.
It's Ohio State, Oregon, Florida, Tennessee, LSU, Ole Miss, Penn State, USC. Let's see what other.
I think what helps is
South Carolina, Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma, Stanford, Notre Dame.
The Big Ten's what do you call it? The schedule
slots? Yeah.
The time slots, I think makes it a lot easier to manage a lot of these things, because that Stanford Notre Dame game is at 12:30 on NBC. Does not affect the Big Ten schedule because NBC has night games. Yeah. South Carolina, Alabama, that day is in the morning. Red River is that day, right? And Red River's already got a time at 12:30.
Yeah.
And SC's not on ESPN anymore. They could be on Fox, so that could be a possibility. But Ole Miss LSU is going to be on ESPN. That doesn't affect the SC Penn State game. So it's really Oregon, Ohio State, and where that game goes. So My guess is that's the 12:30 CBS and SC Penn State is the primetime NBC. But maybe it's the other way around. I don't know. We'll see. Either way, Monday expect a 6-day window. I would assume, or we could get the time on Monday. I don't know. We'll see. Lamont says, do you think the weight gain is affecting Branch? I think he's more of a Deshaun Jackson than a Tyreek Hill.
They said that he's as fast as he's ever been. I saw. I think it was a Ryan Karchi article about how he's faster than he's ever been. Technically. So I don't know. I also think my personal opinion is that the Zachariah Branch conversation is a little bit of an overreaction. He's having it's an overreaction to a player not being a clear number one, which he's not. And that's disappointing for sure, but he's not having a bad season. He's just one of the guys and he's doing his part.
It's the sky high expectations.
Yeah.
And I think the sky high expectations were put on him for good reason. He's got a hell of a lot of talent. He's got a lot of ability, all that stuff. And we saw glimpses of it last year. So I totally understand why the expectations are high. But yeah, I also don't think that he's failing per se.
Yeah.
I think he's not the best wide receiver in this receiving core. And that's not a crime, but it's also not a benefit for him if given the expectations that have been sort of put on him. All right. Last couple things. Lamont says Virginia Tech, did they score last night on the Hail Mary?
Okay. The referees on the field called it a touchdown. Therefore, from the replay reviews that I saw, it was a touchdown. I don't know that I saw anything that conclusively told me that it wasn't a touchdown. But I also don't know what the hell a touchdown is anymore. I don't know on any given day. So who the heck knows? In real time, I didn't think there was any way that anyone caught that ball properly. But I don't know.
Yeah, did you see the statement that was put out by the ACC? During the review process of the last play of the Virginia Tech at Miami game, it was determined the loose ball was touched by a Miami player while he was out of bounds, which makes it an incomplete pass and immediately ends the play.
So what they're saying is that he caught the ball and then he didn't keep it through the ground.
I guess.
And the ball was loose and touching a Miami player, which I suppose is the case, but I don't know.
Yeah, 28-0 Alabama now. So I got to give it to you. I think your all-time greatest take of all time is being the conductor of the Kalen DeBoer train circa 2018.
I wanted Kalen DeBoer to be USC's offensive coordinator. I was riding that train hard, and I would have been very happy. His name got floated as a possibility for USC head coach before he ended up at Washington. I would have been defending that decision against the USC fans who were pissed about it. I would have been his biggest defender. Instead, he went to Washington, and now he's proving that he is just an absolute winner. So, yeah.
Yeah.
As I'm about to tweet, it is unfair that Alabama got to follow up Nick Saban with Kalen DeBoer.
Eric says, is Danton Lynn the adjustment king, or what other nicknames can we consider? Adjustment king is pretty good.
I like it.
Pretty good. Okay, before we wrap up, I just want to one word association. Keep it to one word. Just gonna run some scores by you.
Oh no. Okay.
Stanford losing to Clemson at half 17-7.
Oh, fine.
Ohio State up on Michigan State 17-7 in the second.
Slow start.
That's two words. LSU 28-3 over South Alabama in the second quarter.
Positive.
Penn State, Illinois 7-7 early on.
Unsurprising.
Texas, big over Mississippi State. You're terrible at this game.
I can't think of one word. Arch is what.
Okay, fine. Kentucky beating Ole Miss.
Tough.
Your alma mater, Notre Dame, wins a squeaker against Louisville, 31-24. Tough break. No, it's not a tough break for you. It's a good one.
I'm gonna crunch a series of words together into one word, and that
you're gonna do the German thing?
Closer than it was. Yes, closer than it was. That's my German. My German word of.
You know what I'm referencing? The German language.
Germans create words.
The German language is incredible.
Stuffing words together and creating concepts that are.
Yeah. What is this? It's not a remote. It's a
plastic thing that pushes buttons.
Yeah. Oh, can you give me the plastic thing that presses buttons for the TV? Thank you. Oh, the TV thing with the button, whatever it is. Like it's incredible, and it'll sound like some crazy thing, and it's like, what is this? Oh, that's just plastic thing that with buttons. Oh, okay. All right.
Oklahoma should send me a personal thank you letter, because every time there's like a game that is going in a direction that feels like an upset, and I turn that game on, the team that's supposed to win suddenly figures it out. I turned that game on, looked up, Auburn had the ball across the 50. Was looking down, watching the USC game, look back over, Oklahoma is celebrating the end zone. Pick six. It's like, what?
All right, let's end it with Squid in the chat says, what are your thoughts on the fact we put up 28 straight points against Alex Branch?
Pretty good.
Hey, during the game, I turned to Michael and said, if USC loses to to a team that has Alex Grinch on staff, I'm not going to be able to cope with it. So
you didn't
have to.
Didn't need to.
No.
All right, we'll be back Monday, but we'll also be back with grades, position unit by unit grades here on YouTube. So check that out. Make sure that you're subscribed. We'll stop right now. Okay, hold on. Get your mouse. Okay, take it out of full screen. Drop it in your phone. Okay, see the button right there, down there somewhere. Yeah, there you go. Subscribed. Perfect. Hit the like button too. I think that helps us out too. So subscribe on YouTube. We've got more videos coming your way. And until Monday we'll have our next live Fallout episode. Talk about the Trojans beating up on the Badgers with a big second half. Until next time, we will see ya.
See ya.
See ya.